and that is what the final rule does.
Ms. McBath from Georgia is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, and thank you so much, Secretary Sue, for taking the time to be with us here today. And I have read your remarks. I've read your testimony. And by every measure, the economy under yours and President Biden's leadership is doing quite well, despite what others would have us believe. It's doing quite well. We continue to see a strong job market with record low unemployment, but there's more than this that can be done to ensure that, of course, every American has access to the opportunities that will lead them to highly skilled and quality careers and enable them to provide a good life for themselves and for their families. And almost all of the good-paying jobs in our economy actually require some sort of post-secondary credential or education, and that could be an apprenticeship, a short-term training program, or a 2- or 4-year degree program and higher. However, most Americans in the labor force have either some college education or actually less, and like a high school diploma or maybe even equivalent. Despite most Americans not having a college degree, the federal government still only spends a fraction on workforce development programs compared to what is spent on traditional higher education programs, as you can actually see behind me. We spend 5, 10, or even 20 times more in any given year on our university system than we do actually on employment and training services. So the fact of the matter is that you do not have to have a college degree to be successful, although it certainly helps, but it's not the only path to a good-paying job. But that's not the message that we're sending to these vastly different funding levels. Shouldn't we be meeting our students where they are and provide support for these necessary training programs? It's a disservice to our students and our employers, as shown by the huge amounts of college debt and workforce shortages that we see across the country. This failure to invest in our workforce is just not leaving working families and businesses behind. It is risking our competitive advantage on the world stage globally. As you can see here, we spend drastically less on these efforts than our allies in other comparable countries around the world. The U.S. spends just 0.04% of our GDP on workforce training and employment programs. America should lead, but that is unfortunately not possible when we habitually underfund our workforce programs. Secretary Sue, can you talk about how important it is for us to fully fund these efforts and expand upon the work that you have done on apprenticeships and other non-traditional workforce development programs?
Thank you very much, Congresswoman. We have models for what works to connect people to good jobs and employers to people. I travel the country and I've seen them. You are hopefully seeing them in your districts too. And we need to scale those models, both because employers are looking for working people and because working people are looking for good jobs. And so registered apprenticeships is one of those I've talked about our workforce system as being a kind of infrastructure too, roads and bridges that connect people and employers. If that is the case, then registered apprenticeships are like super highways. They are a very effective way of bringing people who do not have a 4-year degree and don't want to get a 4-year degree into the workforce, into a good paying job with security and a lifelong opportunity to be able to contribute, to build, to make things. And so our budget request is really about making sure that we take things that we know can be done to fulfill employer needs and to make opportunity broadly available and double down on those investments. And those investments are good for everybody. I mean, they're good for people of all races, from every community, because the desire for people to be in a good job that will change their lives is something that I know you see in your district and I see everywhere I go.
Well, thank you for that, because as you and I discussed, the new nature of work is what we have now, in particular coming through COVID. And so workers now are caregivers. They are themselves looking for education. They're working. So we have to make sure that we are able to address all of the needs that they have, specifically in being able to find the educational resources they need, but more importantly, that they deserve. And thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
The representative from Florida, Mr. Bean, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much,